Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Jack and today I am going to read one interesting post from Malicious Compliance about how a guy was told to do job that he is paid to do by Karen, so he did exactly that. So, let's start. Just do what you're paid to do. When I was 18 I worked in a supermarket with a small garden center attached to it at the back. I started out on the checkouts, which was extremely boring, but I like money, so I did it. After about 3 months of working there I came into work one day and they were very short-staffed in the garden center area. They asked for a volunteer and, wanting to avoid another day of monotonous beeps, I said I'd go. Turns out the garden center is an absolute blast. Basically, if they think you can't use a till, they send you to the garden center. The people who worked there were the friendliest, chillest people I'd ever met. The manager, John, had previously owned a gardening business that had failed and he knew everything there was to know about plants. He was a great manager, always looking out for his staff. He even turned a blind eye to us collecting the pound coins that had been left in trolleys and spending them on booze after our shift ended. Garden center also looked after trolley returns. I requested to be transferred to the garden center and John spent the next 3 months basically showing me how to do his job. After that 3 months, John left and I applied for the job with his recommendation. At the last minute they decided that garden center would be folded into checkouts. I.e. the checkout manager, who was on the other side of the store, would also be our manager. I was obviously annoyed, but whatever, I was only for another few months anyway. The arrangement worked fine in the week when Alice was managing the checkouts. She basically just let us get on with it. I kept doing everything John had done, cashing up, inventory, etc. Then the weekend came along. Enter Karen. Karen perpetually looked like the ink wasn't dry on her second divorce. She hated everyone it seemed, especially me. Every hour I had to go across the store, because she was too lazy to come to me, to give her a status update. I took great pleasure in being overly cheery and coming up with dumb stuff to say when I gave those reports. We sold 5 spruces, guess we'll be able to keep the lights on Karen? Who do I speak to about my bonus? After a few weeks of this Karen was at fever pitch. So, when she waddled over to the garden center, very unusual for her, I was looking forward to seeing what was coming. There's been a customer complaint about the gents' toilets, you need to go clean it. Technically our contract says that we have to clean any area of the store, but this is usually just the occasional cleaning of counters or sweeping as we have a dedicated cleaning team. I'd never heard of anyone but a cleaner cleaning the toilet. Okay? I'll ask cleaner to get right on it, I've got some admin stuff to do. I said, knowing what was coming next. No, it's in your contract, you're not paid for doing admin. Just do what you're paid for. As I wandered over to the gents, I wondered how long she'd been planning this, and a plan started forming in my head. I spotted one of the cleaners and asked him to go look at the gents, which of course, he did. Now for the first part of my plan. See, usually at the end of the day I would complete the cash up paperwork. The garden center had a till for customers to pay for garden center stuff, and leave it in a folder for the GM to collect on Monday as he didn't work on weekends. But I wasn't paid to do admin, so I just didn't. Of course, Karen didn't check if it was done. So, I just closed up and left for the day. Sunday comes around and I do the same. On Sunday we also took a select inventory, but that sounds a lot like admin to me. So, I didn't do it. Of course, she couldn't be bothered to check it. About 10 AM on Monday I'm called up to the GM's office. Karen is there looking furious as well as GM, who we'll call Del Boy because he reminded me of him. Del Boy, hey, why wasn't cash or inventory done this weekend? Me, well Karen told me I wasn't paid to do admin, it's her responsibility to do those things since John left, I've been doing it as a favor, but she told me not to do it, so I didn't. Del Boy, is this true? At this point Karen is looking white, not filling out cash paperwork can lead to dismissal. No, that's not what I meant. I just said that you shouldn't do admin. Del Boy, thanks, me, you can go now. A few weeks later Alice told me that Karen had only been on secondment as weekend manager, and after this incident she was taken off secondment and sent back to the checkout. She was replaced by Bill, who was grumpy as all hell, but let us get on with stuff without getting in our way. I left shortly after, but I went back to visit my parents recently and popped in. She was still on the checkout, grumbling to a customer about someone. I went to a different checkout. Some comments from other readers. Best part is not even cleaning the toilet that kicked the whole situation off. Wow, imagine just doing your job and letting others do their job without anyone getting hassled. What a novel concept. What does secondment mean? It's a temporary transfer to a job basically, but quite a lot of the time it's like a trial for the job. Yeah, secondment is a UK thing. You can be seconded to the same role in another store to fill a gap, or seconded into a role above yours. You get paid for the role you're doing, so it's like a temporary promotion. A lot of jobs will second a member of staff to fill a role whilst they're recruiting to permanently fill it, but most of the time they just give it to the seconded person. For example, I worked in a national chain of bookstores and was seconded to the same role in the next town over for a few weeks when someone left unexpectedly. It was more hours and they paid my travel fare, so I was happy, but didn't want it long term, so went back to my old shop. It's often used as a way to trial shuffling your staff around to different stores. If it doesn't work, everyone can go back to their original spots with no contract paperwork to faff with, and people can't protest being put back to their original role. All this because she had to be nosy and try to make someone do a task they didn't typically do. If only she had kept her damn mouth shut. Would have deliberately gone to her checkout just to get her mad, and then complain to management about that rude checkout operator and how you are not satisfied with the attitude and behavior they have. Why would people leave pound coins in trolleys? Is it like the put a quarter in to take the trolley out, get the quarter back when you return it? I would have explicitly gone to her checkout. Then I would proceed to kill her with kindness. Be so nice, happy, and outgoing that she'll have to assume that your life is a millionfold better than it used to be, and, by extension, better than hers. As someone who struggles deeply through social interactions, we sold 5 spruces, guess we'll be able to keep the lights on. Karen. Who do I speak to about my bonus? Comes across as pure genius to me. Enter Karen. Karen perpetually looked like the ink wasn't dry on her second divorce. Love that line, and I love the way you write. Have my upvote. Bravo. This was an enjoyable read. My takeaway from this whole ordeal? Both you and John seem like fun people. You also sound Scottish. This sounds a lot like the big farm stand I worked at over the holidays several years ago. The front-end manager was a nightmare. I ended up working for her for a bit, then transferring into the office in back, but she kept trying to boss me around and get me to do front-end stuff after I transferred. I'm from the US, not familiar with having to pay to use a cart? Why is this a thing? Imagine if you had to put $1 in the cart machine to take out a cart. Would you want your dollar back? Or would you leave the cart out and lose your dollar? Now imagine if you chose scenario 2. If I saw a cart out, I'd want to return it for a free $1. Win for the store, as there's incentive to return carts and not leave them out. But I like money, so I did it. Pretty much every job. Laughing face. You're not wrong. I have 2 jobs right now, same field, non-conflicting. I only work 7/8 days a month, when I can get by on one, as my student loan will cover all of my living expenses, just because I like having extra cash. Try paying off the student loan now. Less interest in the future, so you spend less time not having extra cash then, unless you're going into something really high paying that's like more than double both jobs RN. When I say I've got 2 jobs, I only work 7 days a month, so it's a small bit of extra but not much, and I'm also a home student in England, so there is no benefit to paying back my student loan off early. Because it all gets written off in 30 years no matter what I've paid back, then there is no benefit to paying any back early, as it is taken as another tax bracket. There is official advice out there to just pay the minimum and not pay any extra back no matter what. The cherry on top would have been going through her till with a super cheery "How are the spruces selling?" or "You seem to be managing pretty good here." That's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit like and subscribe for more daily videos.